Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Febiana Wardani. I'm from class TBI B. Here I will present about the current teaching methodology in writing. And the title of the journal that I have taken is Foreign Language Writing in Higher Education, Finding Balance Among Current Teaching Approach. So first I will explain about the introduction. So writing involves the physical act of putting words to a given medium such as paper, computer screen or board, as well as the mental act of creating and expressing ideas that are clear to readers. This language skill includes a graphical system that allows learners to acquire the linguistic code and enable them to express their own opinions and point of view about the different topics. Besides allowing us to communicate with other people and with ourselves, writing makes us smarter because when we write, our mind helps us solving problems automatically, stimulating our intellectual growth. It is fashion that writing becomes only a tool for communication but also an instrument for intellectual growth and development. Current approach to teaching foreign language writing. And writing instruction includes a series of elements that must be selected by the teacher depending on the course objective, the student needs, and their foreign language proficiency level. These priorities are easily observed in the focus on objective of the most commonly used approach for teaching writing at the present. Among them, we find the product approach, which focuses on the final product that students are able to produce. The process approach, with an emphasis on the composition process and its stake, and the genre approach, which center attention on the characteristic of different textual genres that students should produce in a foreign language. Second is the product approach. The product approach focuses on the production of written text based on the imitation of different text model offered by the teacher, whose main task is to ensure student linguistic accuracy. With the sentence being the basic unit for textual construction, the use of this approach implies putting the primary interest on the final product students must produce, leaving behind the writing process that they should go through in order to produce their text, and therefore limiting their creativity and independence. As a writer's product approach focus their attention on the student's imitation of model text presented by the teacher. Teacher will gradually plans, control, and guide their writing interaction until they are able to reproduce as closely as possible the formal aspect include the models provided. In this sense, there are some points that need to be highlighted. Third is the process approach. The process approach emphasizes the process involved in writing and the best way to coordinate them in order to achieve writing goals, which may vary depending on the text, the task, and the audience. The focus of this approach lies on the communicative purpose of a text rather than on its formal characteristic. This approach focuses attention on the strategies of writers using in order to produce acceptable text. It also aims at improving student writing skills by teaching them to use effective composing process such as planning, drafting, and revising. And then living linguistic knowledge about the structure of particular text in a secondary position. This is why its implementation in a foreign language lesson demand the student base a considerable amount of time doing activities that help them become aware of this process. And therefore, making students aware of the process that takes place in the production of written text and providing enough opportunities for them to develop and practice skills and strategies related to such a process inside and outside the classroom. It is important condition that should be favored in foreign language writing lessons. However, the student possibilities of going through each writing stage with an acceptable level of success will not only be linked to the knowledge of the audience, the topic, and their writing goals. They will also be closely related to the knowledge of different text types they must produce, depending on the communicative purpose and audience expectation, along with the text convention and the formal aspect related to text genre at hand. Next is the genre approach. The genre approach, like the product approach, sees the development of a writing linked to the study of the formal structure of different types or textual genres, and to analyze an imitation of text model offered by the teacher. The fundamental difference between this approach is that the genre approach recognizes that writing varies depending on the social context in which it's produced, and therefore the purpose of writing a text will be linked to different social situations. So in this, the genre approach recognizes that any type of writing takes place within a given social context. Its purpose will be linked to the field of writing is developed the types of information that may be relevant to a particular discursive community and to the ways in which this information is presented. Next is integrated approach to teaching writing at university level. So far, it has been suggested that the integration of product, process, and genre approach in writing lesson may contribute to create a balance among elements students need to master in order to write different kinds of text for a variety of communicative situations. In this purpose, an approach that is synthesized of the three previously analyzed. They call it process genre approach. Each should guarantee students' preparation regarding the types of text they must produce, the topic they should address, and the grammatical structure or vocabulary they should include in their text. In the case of higher education students, they should develop skills and strategies that facilitate the writing of various types of text, especially in English as the predominant language in the current academic context. At the university level, student purpose of writing should go beyond using these skills just means for learning other aspects of the foreign language, such as practicing grammar rule, answering comprehension questions from reading passage, or copying vocabulary list. The last is the conclusion. So the conclusion of this material, in this sense, the communicative teaching of this language skill in higher education call for an integrated approach that takes into account the student needs and the interest from the linguistic, affective, professional, and social points of view. This new philosophy should combine the best of the current approach for teaching foreign language, especially in writing, our product, process, and the genre approach, in order to create a balance among the components that students need to master in order to achieve successful writing production in their specific learning context. At this point, the teacher should assess the student level of language proficiency and identify the genre types they need to produce in order to plan to work with this language skill and provide the kind of mediation that might progressively lead the student independence and autonomy in writing in the foreign language. I think enough for my presentation. If I have some many mistakes, I apologize. Thank you for your attention. The last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.